What's up, y'all? I'll be right here with you. We'll get the show started in just a second. Gotta make sure I blast it out to the audience here. Hang in there with me. We get started in a few. Uh, uh, uh. All right, we about to get going. What's up, y'all? We got several things to discuss today. It's definitely going to be an action-packed show. We will discuss the Bengals coaching changes and more that's possibly on the horizon. We will also discuss Bearcats football. We let one slip away, a big game. We let it slip away, but I'm proud of them. We'll talk about that. We'll also discuss Bearcats basketball. It's in deep trouble, people. I'm not going to even sugarcoat it. It's in trouble, especially from what I'm hearing. Um, we will also cover our quick hot takes, and we will also have a co-host Tori on the show later. But as we always get started, I'm excited. Let's get it. Timeout with Coach Cam coming to you now.
Timeout, overtime, hot take, debate, penalty by so many yaps. We on the way, unapologetic opinions, guests checking in, so I share on my social. Merch going up, my brother, he going global. Ass hold it down for the ladies, they need their own show. But we right back with it. Timeout with Coach Cam, we shouldn't miss a minute. Yeah. But we right back with it. Timeout with Coach Cam, we shouldn't miss a minute. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Timeout with Coach Cam. I'm your boy Cam Chancellor, and we're bringing another exciting show to you this morning. What's up, Sam? I appreciate you for tuning in. Definitely excited to get this show on the road. Like I said, we will discuss Bengals football, and the changes that are being made in the coaching staff. Bearcats football. Didn't quite, pull that out there, but I am proud of the effort. We'll talk about Bearcats basketball as well and the state of that program and other quick hot takes. However, I'm going to get started on the Cincinnati Bengals this morning. And it was some refreshing news we heard this week. Refreshing news that we heard this week. Jim Turner, amongst others on the coaching staff, will be released. That honestly blew me away. The reason why is because the Bengals normally take so long to make these type of changes that are honestly glaring. And the fact that we were able to go out there and make sure that we make a change to help Joe Burrow, to help this organization, um, lets me know further that Mike Brown is not really pulling the strings anymore. I think it's Katie, and I think Katie's running this team. Um, what's shocking to me is that from what I'm hearing from the reports that were put out was that basically they came to Zach Taylor and said, "Hey, we need changes on this coaching staff, or you need to answer to us because maybe you might be gone." That to me, I like it. I like it. Force him to make some changes because he was going to die on the hill with Jim Turner and the rest of these guys. Now, I'm not hearing anything about Lou. What's up, Eddie? Yes, CBE in the building. I'm going to have my guy Eddie on the show here soon to discuss the movement that they're making in youth football with CBE and what they're doing nationally. Great stuff, helping the kids, top of the line stuff. But that to me is, like I said, it's very telling, and I'm excited about it because, like I said, he's going down the hill with Jim Turner. Now with Lou, we don't know yet. I'm still hearing there's more changes that there are to be made on the coaching staff. Lou could be coaching for his job today. I'm not sure. I'm not saying that's the case, but Lou can be honestly coaching for his job today, and honestly, he should be. I understand Lou has definitely got us better as the year progressed. And I honestly do think if we had Joe Burrow in some of these games, like the Giants, even the Washington game that we dropped, and some of these other games where we just couldn't muster up offense, even the Dolphins, I think we win those games with Joe Burrow because Lou put together a good enough game plan for us to win. It's just the offense was so inept. Chris said her Lou is leaving too. It's possible. I'm not holding my breath on Lou quite yet. I really do think Lou has a chance to keep his job. However, I'm happy to hear the sense of urgency in the ownership, and because it's lacked in years past. I understand bringing back Zach Taylor. I get it. I mean, to be honest, I didn't think he was ever going anywhere. Even though I was on a fire Zach Taylor train, I never thought he was going anywhere. Let's just be honest. I never thought he was really going anywhere. However, for them to put the pressure on him to say, "Yo, you need to change this coaching staff, or we gone, or we gonna move on from you." I like that. That lets me know we're gonna be aggressive. We're gonna. I think we're really gonna try to build this team up in the off season for when Joe Burrow comes back. We ready to play games. We ready to play games. Now, who should be placed on the staff? I'm not sure yet. So instantly on the offensive line, my opinion on it is that first you call Bill Callahan of the Cleveland Browns. You make him an assistant head coach slash offensive line coach. So if you make him assistant coach, it's a promotion, so the Browns can't block it. However, if that doesn't work, Chris Bingo, you get Willie Anderson on the phone, a former Bengal who should be in the Hall of Fame, by the way, played in the premier tackle era, Jonathan Ogden, Orlando Pace, all those guys, and he was right there with them. So that's another story for another day. But I will call Willie Anderson in a heartbeat to have him come and coach this offensive line. It needs to be done. I'm just glad Jim Turner's out of here. He's a bad person and a bad coach. He beat Pittsburgh, so that's another year automatically. Hey, to be honest, beating Pittsburgh on a Monday night with a third string quarterback, that's pretty impressive. I cannot lie, that's pretty impressive. Yes, we lost 5 games by less than a TD. Crazy. Now that's the next step of Zach Taylor maturation process that I need to see. We lose too many one-score games. We got to find a way to flip that and win some of these games. Because it's not like you're right. We don't get blown out every week. That's not the case. The Bengals are in these football games, but it is a trend. It is part of coaching when you can't get over the hump and win some of these games. So I do think that the Bengals are it's not they're not far away. Like Louis Riddick said this on Monday night. They're closer than a lot of what a lot of people think. Just need a couple pieces here and there. Here and there. Bobby Hart has to go. I agree, man. Bobby Hart does have to go. Um, you know, but most importantly, outside of Bobby Hart, we need some competent offensive guards. The guard play has absolutely stink for the last 2 years. It hasn't been even close to being good. Um, you know, and it just is what it is. Seems like the O line got better once Joe got hurt. The O line got healthier when Joe got hurt. The guard Xavier Suafialo, he got healthy at the guard spot. And there were some different linemen that got healthy. Heck, for what it's worth, Bobby Hart got healthy. I mean, I know he's not the greatest in the world, but as a standing, he's like your second or third best lineman right now. So, um, but I don't think the O line got better. I mean, Ryan Finley and Brandon Allen was getting tagged those first few weeks. They had to make adjustments. Because Joe Burrow is very elusive in the pocket, can wiggle away from a lot of stuff. And guess what? They ran the football, Eddie. They ran the football. When you run the football, the line look good blocking forward. So you know, anytime you have a bad line, what helps the bad line is you run the football. Run the football, whether you get 2 or 3, just try to run the football. And it's like what Chris said here. I think they took the ball out of the backups and they ran more without Joe. That needs to be the philosophy and the game plan moving forward. That's the thing. It still needs to be the philosophy and the game plan moving forward. That's simple. I mean, don't because you have Joe Burrow. Let's not get pretty. Let's not get fancy. Run the ball, and then Joe Burrow will be able to do whatever he want to do if he has a running game. We've seen that he can be competent without a run game. Without a run game. So I'm anxious to see, what changes will be made and what will be done this offseason. I really am interested in seeing how this is going to go. There are some offensive coordinators out there. Well, Zach Taylor's going to call the plays and, continue that. That's not going to be changed at all. Bobby Hart looked good against JJ Watt. I'm not sure if that was sign of Watt decline. I mean, Watt's getting older. He's getting older, but he did play well against against JJ. Why Bobby played well against him. But other things that's a key factor as well as the defensive line coach is gone, Nick Eason. Now that could play a part in whether we sign back Carl Lawson or not, because I know there were some rumors that we possibly didn't want Carl Lawson and things like that. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see the offseason who we keep, who we retain, who we let go. Especially with changes like that in the defensive line room. You got Gino, who they say is a shell of himself. I don't think so. I think he was playing with one arm, and they put him out there, and he should have had him on IR the whole year. He should have never played this season. Make his value look bad. But it's gonna be interesting to see now, who the D line coach, or if we do fire Lou and bring someone else in, how would they prioritize those guys? So it'll be interesting. All season has got underway for us. Let them know that Jim Turner will be fired among others, and I think that's great. I'm not this great that somebody loses their job, but however, it's a business. It's a $1 billion business, and you got to produce. And if not, you need to be fired. Um, Simple as that. Do we upgrade the backfield or leave? I do think we move on from Geo, and I think we look to get another running back. It's just $5 million that you don't have to pay. It just doesn't make sense. We don't use Giovanni Bernard enough when Joe Mix is in the lineup. So I think you have to possibly looking at cutting Gio and drafting a running back in the later rounds. We know running backs come a dime a dozen. You can find one. Um, but it'd be interesting to see how that goes. Let's see. Hopefully, Geo is included in the game plans next year when Mixon is healthy. Obviously, Mixon is fired, but Geo needs to be out there. Well, would love to see Burrow and shotgun with both of them. Yeah, that's good. I've heard of that. Man, look, we should have been using Geo like Darren Sproles years ago. I said he could have been our Darren Sproles, where we use him out of the backfield, we put him in the slot, we move him around, catch his pitches, things like that. And I really just didn't feel like we used Geo while his time was here, and he got a lot of tread left on the tires because we just simply haven't used him. It's unfortunate, but I would like to see both of our running backs more effective in the pass game. Signed the defensive line coach from Ohio State, Larry Johnson. He's a legend. Yes, he is a beast. I don't see him leaving Ohio State to come to the Bengals to work under Zach Taylor. That's the key there. But that would be a great signing. I really like Samaj. Yeah, Samaj P. Ryan runs hard, man. You can tell he works hard. I like guys like that. Um, Definitely keep that guy around. He can catch out of the backfield as well. So definitely could be a piece, that you can keep on your roster moving forward there. But I'm excited about the coaching changes. It lets me know that the ownership is ready to move forward and ready to try to get this thing on the right track. And I'm excited about that. I really, really am. And let's see what this offseason brings. I'm excited. I'm actually excited what happens after the game today because you have Black Monday. You know what Black Monday mean? Coaches get fired after the season. That Monday, coaches get fired. Coaches already been fired. Coaches already been letting them know they've been letting go. Adam Gase has been, known to, they let him know he's been gone. He's going to be gone. So definitely gonna be interesting off season for the NFL. And NFL never sleeps. So that will definitely be interesting. I'm excited about the off season. Now, moving on, I'm gonna bring in my co-host here, Tori. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going? What's up?
I'm doing real good. I'm doing real good, and I bring you on here because we got to talk about it. We got to talk about Bearcats football and how we let one slip away. 24-21 to Georgia. Um,
Mm,
you know, I think the loss hurts a bit more just because for me, we dominated the game.
yes.
But for 50, I say about 53, 54 minutes, we dominated the game and we just let one slip away. There was, obviously there was kind of a little, not necessarily digging at Luke Fickle there, but it was some things about clock management at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Where 3rd and 2, we tried to go for the pass to ice the game instead of running the ball and milking 25, 30 more seconds off the clock. So there was opportunities that we had there. Um, Overall, what was your take on the game? Watching how you know, and let's keep in mind, last time we played a SEC opponent, um, we got demolished.
We didn't show up.
We didn't show up, and we didn't look like we belong on the field.
Right.
This time was much different. But how do you feel, after kind of watching us let one slip away?
Of course, well, I wanted to win, obviously. I will say, trying to look on the good side of it, I do feel like we made a good statement. We showed that we deserve to play.
Hmm.
Well, we can do that now. I feel that that's what the good came out of that. Overall in the game, I do feel we sort of kind of beat ourselves in a sense, especially with the time mismanagement, as you mentioned towards the end. Uh, then all the penalties we racked up. There's a lot of yards that we just simply gave away and false starts and, you know, getting ejected for unnecessary targeting, etc. Uh,
Hmm.
I will say that I do think that Marcus Free, I think he did a phenomenal job defensively. Uh,
Hmm.
Watching it that way. But it is ultimately it's upsetting to watch us let that one slip.
Hmm.
Um, and then at the end when we let a safety go too. Uh, but ultimately, I do feel tough, tough loss. But I do feel that UC football is going in a much better direction. I
Hmm.
do. I feel I am proud of the Bearcats for where we've gotten. Uh, but ultimately, I do feel a lot of this was beating ourselves. I feel like we ran out of gas. Um,
Yeah.
we started off hot, which is in Cincinnati sports in general makes me nervous. Um, when we start off hot, does we never seem to finish strong. Uh, but I do feel we lost a lot of gas, and offensively just didn't get anything going in the second half. It fell a lot on the
Yeah.
defense.
Yeah. And watching the game, I knew when James Hudson got ejected, the left tackle, our all conference left tackle, you talk about a guy that will probably declare for the draft and will get drafted within the first 4 rounds. It just honestly just I knew that would be a recipe for disaster because I knew the backup that we had with Mets. And, I hate to rag on kids, especially, college kids like that, because, at the end of the day, they're young kids, but man, he wasn't prepared to play. And that's why, as a backup, you always prepare and be ready to play because you never know when your number is called. And it was clear as day. He didn't expect to have his number called, on New Year's Day. And it showed. I'm talking about you only played a half and you have multiple holdings,
Mm,
multiple false starts,
mm,
and just brain farts. And what and a lot of people were saying, "No, Fickle, what were you doing? Y'all snapping the ball at 12 seconds, not running the ball, running the clock all the way down." I'm like, "Look, y'all, he was scared to snap it that late because Mets was gonna false start. Every time we did the fake dummy clap, he went out. He false started. every time. And
Yep.
people wanted to blame the offensive coordinator. And I'm like, look, I haven't coached at football at a high school level or above. However, however, when you're a play caller and you're starting off your offensive series, 1st and 15, 1st and 20, do the hold. Your script is gone. You
Mhm.
can throw it away and throw it in the garbage somewhere. You're off script. You behind the change. And when you play in the SEC team like Georgia with a premier defense who has a first round edge rusher who we saw get to Desmond Ritter like 2 or 3 times after
Mhm.
Hudson went out, they're going to take advantage of that. I mean, they're going to take advantage of that. It really that was frustrating. On the 3rd and 2 call, I don't mind it. A lot of people say run the look. UC was out of gas. Let's call it
We're,
what it is.
yeah, we were.
We played as hard as we could the whole game. We were out of gas. And when people want to say, what make me so mad is people want to say Georgia had 10 players out.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
let me
Okay.
let me let me read the recruiting classes since Kirby Smart got there about 4 or 5 years ago. Third in recruiting in the nation. First, third, third, first. Which means they're trotting out goons after goon after goon, after athlete after athlete after athlete. That was the biggest factor in the game for me watching the two teams. Could
Yep.
our could our starters and a couple backups go out there and play with Georgia? Yes. But when you start digging deeper into the roster, that's where the talent gap is. And let me see. I'll look at some comments here coming up about this game. Let's see here. We got Eddie wondering why he called that good timeout. I think you're referring to when we were on defense and they were
Yes. Yes.
driving.
Yes.
That timeout was kind of iffy, but I think he wanted to call one to try to get his troops together because they was, bad things was happening. We just had the 3rd and 2. We didn't complete that, and then they're starting to drive. So he wanted to kind of get them together and be like, "Hey, relax, y'all. Let's get this stop." Unfortunately, it didn't happen. I mean, I understand what you're saying about the timeout, but I think he was just trying to, get the troops together and be like, "Relax, we got this." Um, and it is what it is. I'm not faulting Luke Fickle. See, I think we tried to be too aggressive instead of using our strength with the read option. Like I said, I agree with everybody who said they want to run the ball. I'm just saying, from my perspective, we were out of gas. We were done. We were spent. And honestly, if Ritter lets the ball go a little bit earlier, shit, Michael Young's still running. He's still running right now. So football's a game of inches. I mean, it's a game of seconds. He let that ball go a little bit too late. Defender got back there to knock it away. But honestly, it wasn't a bad play call. If we complete it, we all talk about how aggressive Luke Fickle is, and we jumping up and down to, celebrating the undefeated season. So I'm not going to uh, sit out, go out there and just say Luke Fickle did it. Nah, I just think, it
I
is
think.
what it is.
Yeah. I think being aggressive was a good thing.
It's our personality. And it's been UC's personality since Luke Fickle got there. Anything close, 4th and 2 on the other side of the field, we may go for it. 3rd and 2, we may that's how he is. And because you're playing Georgia, don't mean you switch up your swag. So I commended him for it. I'm like, we went after it. We just unfortunately threw it a little bit behind him and didn't let it go on time. But I'm not mad. I'm not mad at all. Yeah, Matt's played and started a lot the year before, and he was trash, Cliff. He was terrible then. That's why Ritter was getting beat up and hurt last year because he was garbage. Um, Now Eddie said number 99 for Georgia is amazing. Yes, that dude is like 6'3", 6'4", 350, 60 pounds, and what ran down Desmond Ritter, I was like,
Yes.
what the heck? I've never seen that in my life. You talk about a big like Sam Adams type guy running sideline to sideline. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. There's a little differences there when the Jordan Davis can run down the Desmond Ritter. You know what I mean? But to be on the same field as them and compete, UC football came a long way. Let's see here. Cincinnati doesn't have many years. Exactly. They don't have the staple. Now, if Luke and Marcus stay here for a couple more years, then you can see the depth. We saw some depth. Let's not get it twisted. We lost our All American safety and corner.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and I think it was that guy Cook. Cook who
Yep.
played. You heard his name all day making plays. So the future is bright, man. The future is bright, and then we got news that Kobe Bryant, the other corner, is deciding to stay for his extra year eligibility. And then it looks like Michael Young, the receiver number 8, who caught some key passes in the game, looks like he will come back and use that extra year of eligibility. And we're waiting on a few others. So I really think these UC crew think that they're close, and they know they're close. And I think you're going to see a lot of guys um, stay. I think they left a bad taste in their mouth, and I think they want more of that as it come along. We're gonna move on because we got a lot to cover, but I'm gonna go through the comments. Do you think conference change will help recruiting? A little bit.
Mm.
I think if you move to like the ACC or something, you'll be able to go after a 5-star now. You know what I mean? Things like that because Luke Fickle's a good recruiter. But we're out right now in the AC. We're out recruiting mid-tier Big Ten teams. We're out recruiting mid-tier ACC teams. We're out recruiting mid-tier Big 12 teams. We're out recruiting some of these teams. That's why I really feel like if it's Luke Fickle's not gonna go anywhere unless it's Notre Dame, a top notch job that's close like that. Because why? He's out recruiting them all. So conference change will help because you can get some of the big stars. But we're recruiting fine. I think the recruiting is good. That tight end was huge and only a true freshman. Yes, 6'7", 260, and was running like a receiver. That was scary. That was scary for sure. Um, hey, I'm waiting for the kid behind Ritter to get his turn. Evan Prater. Um, you know, Evan Prater's going to be great. I want Ritter to return another year.
Me
If he
too.
goes pro,
I
if he
agree.
goes pro, I'm not mad at him. Go ahead, get your money. But excuse me, I want Ritter back another year. I think Ritter back another year could propel us because we got games like Notre Dame, we got Indiana next year, and I think you're in a better position to win those games with Desmond Ritter as your quarterback. And I think that we can win those games. And you talk about if you beat a Notre Dame and Indiana, they can't leave you out. They can't leave you out. They have no excuses, and you will be in the playoffs for sure. Antonio, he's playing receiver if he leaves now. And it's true. It's true. He needs one more year, to fine tune some skills there. But I do think he's ready to go. Chris Taylor, you got a fan. Chris Taylor said, "Good morning, Tori."
Good morning, Chris.
All right. Yep, and we play ND next year, and we're gonna smoke them. Point
Oof.
blank period. It's
I
gonna be
don't know
tough.
about
It's
that.
gonna be tough, but we're gonna smoke 'em. All right, moving on. We're gonna touch on this real quick because this has been disgusting. Bearcats basketball. Um, this is something I have never seen in my lifetime. Now people want to go back to the early Mick Cronin days and say, "Well, you gave him a chance." Well, let's stop. Mick Cronin had one scholarship player come in, had one scholarship player, and the fact that do people forget we was in the Big East at the time that Mick Cronin was trying to rebuild. So not only was he trying to get solid players to come to his program, he's playing Syracuse, Louisville, Georgetown, Seton Hall, Villanova. I'm naming out Pitt. I'm naming. I'm still ain't forgot. I still ain't named them all. Providence. You're talking about UConn when they back in the day when they were loaded with talent.
Mm-hmm.
He had to rebuild with that. So he deserved a little more time. One scholarship player, and you go and you're I forgot about Marquette too. Sorry, and you're talking about games where your schedule in a row in a conference could be Syracuse, Georgetown, Louisville, Villanova, UConn. Like, of course, it's gonna take him time to rebuild. But John Brennan comes in. He has an All American type player. He had an all conference player in Trey Scott. He had guys that know how to win. And yet, we seen friction with him and Jaron Cumberland last year. And I didn't know where it was. I'm like, where is it coming from? Like, is it Jaron just not adapting? Is it Brandon not? Like, what is going on? Like, at first, I'm like, Cumberland, what are you doing? And then more and more I hear, and I've been blessed to, do this podcast for a little minute and be blessed to have some insight from people that's very close to the team. And from what I'm hearing, I'm not liking what I'm hearing. I'm hearing he's not relating to players well. I'm hearing now our best recruit that came in this year, Tariq Eason. His mom's on Twitter saying you gotta let your dogs loose. You can't handcuff them. Stuff like that is concerning because you know what that means to me? Transfer,
Mm.
transfer. You losing players.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not for it. You can't fit a system to a bunch of guys. You got to be able to adjust. Bearcats basketball is in trouble. From what you've seen, Tori, this season. I know you haven't watched all of it because it's pathetic. I mean, to be honest. But what do you think of the state of UC basketball right now? Because right now, I think we're in deep waters. I think we're in trouble, and I think we're headed back to an era that I'm gonna say
Yep.
a lot of people don't know the name. Tony Yates. It was before
Yep.
Huggins got here, and it was
Mm-hmm.
the worst era of UC basketball probably in history. And I think we're headed towards that way if we don't fix something soon.
I won't say that we heading that way necessarily. Probably out of hope that we're not heading that way. Uh, that bad times. You don't want to go back there. But 100% when the players are speaking, players' parents are speaking. At that point, this is multiple players at this point. At that point, you got to start looking at your coaching system. And
Hmm.
I'm not, he just got here. You do got to give him a chance to get in tune. But if you're not getting in tune with your players, we're going to lose the edge that we do have at that point. Our best recruit is over here. Their parents, if they're speaking out like that, at that point, I'm sorry, you got to look at your coaching, and it's not looking good. I mean, look at these games. We're losing. We're two and to teams that we 100% were very capable of winning.
Hmm.
We're capable of beating these teams, and it's when your players and your coach are a mismatch. It's not going to happen. There is no chemistry here, and before our program is ruined, you got to let go. It's an aggressive call, in my opinion, for somebody who hasn't been here that long.
Hmm.
But I looking at this, it's the proof is in the pudding. You got to let go at this point. It's not working, and for me, I don't feel it's the players. I really believe it's our coaching staff.
I don't think it's the players. I'm looking. I know we're young. I get it. But some of these games we're losing. Like, we haven't lost to South Florida at home since '88. We haven't lost
Yeah.
to Tulsa here at home since the 1960s. I mean, we're breaking records in a bad way,
Yes.
and that's what's getting. I told UC fans on Twitter. I said, guys, this is the state of our program. Y'all are excited about a win against Furman.
Mm.
That should let you know where our program is. I
Mhm.
don't care how good Furman's supposed to be. I don't care if they're supposedly a top 70 team in this ranking. It's Furman. When you look when I as a UC fan for my whole life, when I see Furman on the schedule, I see dog food. I see a 20, 30 point victory on the schedule when I see Furman. So the
Mhm.
fact that we are up in arms over a 5 point win over
When
Furman,
exactly
that's where
5 points.
our program ain't where it needs to be. And for the people that missed it yesterday, I posted it yesterday. And when we talk about former players speaking out, if you missed it, this is what we have here. After the game yesterday, he did this once before. After the game yesterday, Jaron Cumberland on his Instagram posted the final score of us losing and said, "Get him up out of Cincy." Now, before he posted something like this and he said, "Well," and he posted something like that when we lost to Georgia by like 15, and he was like, "Well, we see who the problem is." And
Mhm.
when you have former players come out and speak on you like this, and then you have parents speaking out. It's just not good. It's not good at all. Like I'm not getting it. I'm gonna go through some of these comments because we got a lot here. Cronin came in and set the tone. Wasn't the biggest fan, but he had an identity with this team. This guy has to go. Bingo, Randy. And that's what I say to people on Twitter. I say, look, those early Cronin teams weren't good. He didn't have the talent. But I still watched them. You know why? They played hard. You knew they was going to defend their asses off.
Mhm.
And they were going to rebound. And they were going to hit the deck first after loose balls. They played hard. They just didn't have the talent. I can live with that. I can live with that. But I ask people on Twitter, I say, we about 40 games into the Brandon era now, right? What's the identity of this basketball team? Do we
There
don't
is
shoot
none.
it well? We don't defend. We soft as cotton. We don't rebound. What do we do? What do we do well? Nothing. And people want to tell me, oh, it's COVID, the roster flip. Damn that. You establish an identity with the players you have. Look, we may not be able to score the ball, but goddamn it, we're going to defend, we're going to rebound. That was Cronin.
That was Cronin.
And people want to tell me about recruiting rankings. In basketball, that probably matters the less out of any sport as far as rankings and recruiting goes, because you can recruit to a system. And people want to tell me, oh, well, Cronin, since the Big East ain't getting no top 50 guys, no this, no that, no that. Yeah, but he got guys that fit his system and that fit the identity of the UC basketball program. And some of them are made it to the NBA or, got some checks off the NBA or playing overseas, which is cool. We talk about Gary Clark wasn't the best player in the world. He's still getting a check. Jacob Evans, he developed into a first rounder. I mean, so there, now Trey Scott signed with the Jazz a couple weeks ago. So these are guys that wasn't your top 100, your top 50, but you know what? They play hard, they rebounded, they defended, and they learned to be better scorers. And I understand Cronin didn't make it past the second round, and I was tired of that too. Don't get me wrong, I was tired of that, and I said Cronin had. I think it was best for all parties involved to move on. However, the coaching search to me, Tori, was very lazy. It seemed like we knew we was going with Brandon. I think we
Mhm.
I think we went for the cheap route.
Yep.
I think we are flipping this university into a football school.
Yes.
Where all the chips, we putting all our money into Fickle, Freeman, and they deserve it. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, they deserve it.
But we could be
But
both.
like, come on, it's a basketball. We still basketball here. We got
Mhm.
too much history. We got too much to go out like this. Um, what you think about this? Hire Nick Van Exel. What you think about that? Would you be open to bringing Nick in?
Uh, Probably. At this point, that's a tough one. I will go ahead and probably say yes. Uh, just surely based upon of the John Brennan just not working.
Yeah.
Uh, I just that's a tough one for me, but I would probably have to go with let's do it. Um,
What do we
'Cause
got to lose at this
what do
point?
exactly at this point? What do you have to lose? Because I mean, it's I, yeah. I would probably have to go with yeah. I mean, at this point, we have nothing to look forward to. Like as you mentioned, there's no identity with Conan. At minimum, we knew we were going to defend. We were going to be a defensive team. We weren't much of shooters. I mean, still not much of shooters. But I would have to go ahead and say bring him in because John ain't it.
John not it, and the thing is, Nick got the problem was. Do I necessarily think Nick should have been the job? I mean, got the job at the time? No. No. Because what if Nick don't pan out? And then we're dogging a UC legend. I don't want that. I don't want to be saying Nick Van Exel can't coach. He can't do this. He can't do that. Now I know Nick will bring in the players. I know Nick will have an identity here. Nick
Mhm.
knows what UC basketball is, and that's important to me. From when finding our next guy, I will take Nick. Right now, I will take Nick. This program needs a jolt. I would take Nick, or I threw this name out there several times. He was on the '92 Final Four team, and he's assistant for Bob Huggins currently. Eric Martin. I think he would be a great candidate, someone with coaching experience at the college level, knows
Mhm.
how to recruit, and he's gonna bring. If he's under Huggins, he's gonna bring
Bring
toughness.
your something.
He's
Yep.
gonna bring. He's gonna make sure our guys rebound, and we're gonna have some dogs in there. Um, I know Nick wants the job. I think Nick or Eric Martin. I will definitely get them on the phone immediately. And see what we can do here. Let's see here. Nick shouldn't have got looked over. That was my only problem about that. As an alum of the university, they could have gave him an interview. You see what I'm saying? And the reason
Mhm.
why I say they could have gave him an interview, not necessarily hiring, but interviewing, say like, look, okay, this is what you need to improve on. Blah 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 blah. Blah. It's one of your own. Like, let him interview. Let his name get out there for crying out loud. Like, you know what I mean? I just think they didn't give him a chance. They didn't interview him. They didn't bring him in. I just thought that was really 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 bad. Donnie White, Furman. Yeah, man. Like, yeah, people hype over a win over Furman. I'm like, are y'all crazy? I'm like, this is where we at. We are getting hype over low major wins. That's how I knew this season would be bad. I knew this season would be bad based on that. Um, let's see here. They'll if Eric got the gig, they'll play D. Again, that's for sure. And that's the identity of us.
That's the identity
Like,
of UT.
like I look, you got to be able to stop some people. You'll be able to get a bucket or two, but you got to be able to stop some people and just watch. Just this weekend in general, it's just like you said, Cincinnati sports. We start off, we watch a close one, drop the ball and lose with the football. Then you turn around next day, you lose to Tulsa in basketball. I just got one word for it: pain. Just simple, just flat out pain is what you experience when you're coming with Cincinnati sports. And don't get me wrong, I love the football team. They gave it all they got, but God, was that gut wrenching. Losing that game and then turn around the next day and the UC Bearcats basketball team stinks. And the thing is, and more telling, and what's more telling, and we will move on and discuss and get into our hot take story. Um, what's more telling to me is that we lost to Tulsa coming off a 2 week break. We did not get better over 2 weeks. You've been practicing this whole time. I thought, after 2 weeks, we will look a little better. We'll see some improvements in areas. No, I saw
Mhm.
the same team. I saw the same team out there. Nothing got better.
It was
Like,
very lost.
v- lost. Let
Lost.
it, I've never seen a Bearcat team give up so many layups in my life. So many layups, backdoor cuts, layups. Nobody getting physical. Nobody bumping them off the spot. It's bad, man. It's bad, and we'll see because John Brennan's gonna be here for a couple more years. It is what it is. COVID definitely bought him a couple more years. So we'll see. We will see. Let's see here. Bad clock management on the football team. I understand people say that, man, but like I said, snapping the ball with 12 seconds left. Anytime we tried to run it all the way down, Mets false started. You want to talk about and I said before, we were out of gas. Dwayne, we was out of gas, bro. They tried to go for the aggressive play. They tried to win. That's the personality of this football team, and I don't want them to change their personality because they're playing maybe at Georgia and trying to hold on to a win. You got to go out there and take those wins versus those opponents. That's what we tried to do. Just came up short. Now I can live with that. I can live with playing aggressive, and playing our style of ball, no matter who it's against. I can live losing that way. Moving on to our quick hot takes. Now, it's been a topic, that's been kind of passed around here because the Warriors are struggling at the bit. Draymond's hurt. Clay's out with the injury. However, the Warriors just haven't looked like it. They're 2-3. Had some blowout losses early on. Actually, all their losses been blowout losses.
Blowout. Yeah.
I should say. Um, I'm gonna ask you this question. Now we know Steph, Clay possibly come back next year. It's a two-part question. Are the Warriors done? And is Steph Curry overrated? Go ahead, let you answer that.
Uh, this year, the Warriors are done. I would say this is just, and do I think Steph Curry is overrated? I've said this when Curry was hot. I felt like he was a very overrated player. He's a one dynamic player to me. He's a great shooter. Did he change the way the game is played? Yes, a little bit, a lot of it. But he is a good shooter and a good. He's not, to me. He was never a leader, in my opinion. He is a role player. uh,
Antonio said DONE and then added forever. There.
forever. I would like to see what Clay comes back. I mean, before there was a KD at the Warriors, it was the Splash Brothers. You know what I mean? However, I think even then though it was strength in numbers for them. So I don't think they're done forever, but I will say they are for sure done this year. I do think Curry is overrated. I said that when Curry was hot Curry, when he was the Splash Brothers, when he was with KD. I always said that Curry to me was overrated, and that he is a great shooter and a great shooter only. He's not that great of a defensive player. Uh, in my opinion, he can pass a little bit. His handles, I mean, he's got that step back, and I feel like for Curry, I feel like he was a small guard, and for that he made up his own game to where he shoots from a distance because if you put a body on Curry doesn't do much. So he has to create that distance to get off and do what he does, and I think he's very overrated.
Mm, coming with the spice. Randy said Steph came in and changed the game. Not overrated, but not a leader. He's not going to lead that team. Draymond sets the tone for that team. I agree to a certain extent. You know, it's hard to say. A two-time MVP and one unanimous and three-time champion is overrated. That's very hard for me to say. The Warriors as a team is done. Um, they're done. They're done for this year. They're done. Period. I think we're starting to see. It's tough to say he's overrated, but you almost gotta say yes in a sense because without Clay, he's just shown his vulnerability, man. It shows how much Clay does with his basketball team on both ends of the floor and how much pressure he relieves off Steph on the offensive end of the floor. When you got another sniper like that, you got to pay attention to two of them, just, outside of just one. It shows. Draymond, I think Draymond about done too. Everybody want to talk about Draymond, the leader of this team. Yeah, I mean he a leader, but you can't keep putting up them little 6.7 rebounds and like little 4-5 assists. That ain't getting it done for me. I mean, at some point you can lead all you want, but you gotta produce on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I think defensively he's not that defender what he once was.
Nope.
And like I said, the Warriors look if you look at their bench, it's just it's nothing. I like Oubre, but it showed that he ain't been playing well at all. Wiggins been doing okay, but Wiggins is Wiggins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you just only gonna get so much. You're gonna get a hot game out of Wiggins, then you're gonna get a mild game. It's up and down there. Draymond will leave.
Correct.
They need to trade Draymond. Honestly, I would. I would try to get what I can for Draymond Green. Um, I just don't see him moving the needle as much as people think. Dre triple singles, yeah, exactly. He gonna get you that good 6-5-5 or that 8-7-6. Like, I mean, I know he's a leader. I'm not disputing what he's done for this team over the years. I'm talking about now moving forward. I just don't see the Warriors being able to compete, man. I think, and like I said on the last on shows before, is that this is where you kind of give LeBron James credit. You know what I mean? Uh,
Oh.
yeah, you do. I mean, going to so many different finals and being healthy and being able to stay healthy. And you see the Warriors go to five. You know what I mean? Five straight finals, and they are like spent. They're done. They're falling apart. Draymond's been hurt. Clay's been hurt. Steph's been hurt. Their whole big three been hurt after them finals appearances. So it kind of shows you, um, you know, what type of athlete LeBron James is and how he keeps himself and his body up to par because that's it's tough to do.
Yeah.
Let's see here, that depth and that leadership gone. Yeah, and you talk about cats like Iguodala, valuable pieces you can't get back. Livingston at the time, valuable pieces you can't get back. Those are guys that were veterans. Went about their business, accepted the role that they were put in, and was stars at that role. That's important, especially to have those type of players on your team. Wiggins, top five overrated number one picks. Nah. Anytime you average 20 to 22 points in your career, I can't sit up here and call you overrated.
I will.
I mean, I didn't. But the thing is, a lot of people expected uh, Wiggins to be like this next coach. I never saw it. So for some people, I guess he is overrated, like you. So you say you feel he's overrated? Go ahead.
So I mean, it's just, I mean, maybe it is based upon of what we expected from him or what they thought he was going to be. I'll give you that, but I mean, Wiggins is just, he's done nothing, in my opinion.
I get it. I
And
understand
he's a number one pick. 20 points. I'm sorry, overrated in my opinion. Overrated.
that. Okay, overrated is fair. That's a fair comment. Overrated, yes, maybe. But for me, I just didn't. I didn't see star in Andrew Wiggins. I never did. Like I understand. I watched him in college. And I'm like, because coming out of high school, he's supposed to be this huge thing. I'm like, not seeing it from Andrew Wiggins because for me, Joel Embiid was the best player on that Kansas team. Between it was him and Wiggins, Embiid and Wiggins, and I
Hmm.
seen Joel Embiid start to extend. I'm like, he's not the best player on this Kansas team, and I think you're starting to see that.
Oh, absolutely. And
uh,
on top of that, he's sporadic. Like you said, you'll get a bomb game from him, and then you get nothing. At that point, that's no player. Overrated for sure, in my opinion. That's no player you can depend on.
exactly.
He's a number one team, and perhaps maybe you called it before he was the best team in the best. He wasn't. Maybe you called it then. I will say based upon some of what he was hyped to be, absolutely plays into it. But I'm sorry, when you're too much of a sporadic player and you're a number one, very very overrated. Well, I say top five. No, I won't say top five, but very 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 overrated. And I just maybe I have a little bit of disappointment in Wiggins,
Hmm.
but I mean, everybody throws his name around, and I don't understand what's Wiggins. It's nothing to me.
I get it. I get it. And I think we're gonna touch on this question and then move on. What does this say about Kerr? Ooh.
I will say overrated for sure.
Yeah.
Um, just even you do have Steph Curry on your team, and then on top of that, when you watch these games, Curry chilling.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
he just chilling. Ain't got
he ain't
no
doing nothing over
ain't
there.
nothing to be. I'll tell you what, because he was spoiled with a good roster. At this point, are you really a good coach, or did you have phenomenal players?
Mm.
I don't.
Mm.
He's just chilling, in my opinion. And as a coach, me looking at you, and it's just uh, it don't do it for me.
Hey,
Sorry.
hey, I understand, and a lot of people was talking about, and I talked about this as well. Is that Kerr ain't doing nothing. Steve Kerr ain't doing nothing. He be sitting over there, be going on them runs. He just sit up there with his arms folded, just sitting there with a mask on. I'm
Chilling.
like, I'm like, I understand. Like, last year team tried out a G League team. I get that. This year, this team should not be getting blown out by 30 and 40 points.
No, exactly.
You
Maybe
got a
not
little,
winning,
yeah, maybe not winning, but come on,
but
30 and
not
40,
blowing out.
with losing 130 something to 90 something, and all that. It's like, come on. Come on, this is a lot of people feel this way. I still feel Kerr got the accolades for what Mark Jackson did. Mark Jackson established the culture. Okay, he established the culture. He taught them how to win. He got them buying in on the defensive end. Mark Jackson didn't coach offense very well. And that was the biggest thing. And I think the reason why they brought in Kerr. And
Yeah,
Kerr said it himself after the first ring. None of this is possible without Mark Jackson. I mean, he said it. He gave Mark Jackson his props because Mark Jackson, like I said, he brought them into playing, taught them how to play defense, taught them how to win, and things like that. But offensively is where Kerr really took the reins off of Steph and Clay and said, "Here, go ahead, let's take these handcuffs off." I think that's all Kerr did.
Hmm.
I think Kerr took the handcuffs off of both of them, and it helped. But outside of that, I mean, Mark Jackson set the tone and the foundation for everything else. And now you're starting to see, no Clay, no Draymond, this free flowing offense don't exist really. It's a shell of itself. So I really think it shows that, and I hope people start to put respect on Clay name after this. Because without Clay, the Warriors just they ain't it, man. They ain't it. Clay is very important to this basketball team, and I hope that kind of pushes him up far as his legacy go, because he just gets forgotten about to me,
Oh,
and,
absolutely.
and
I,
he's very
I
important.
I always felt Clay was the better player between him and Curry, in my opinion.
Mm,
The better defender, just a better overall player, in my
I
opinion.
got you, and that's fair. That's very fair to say. I mean, I like Clay a lot. The way he played, just go about his business, and he all about winning. So I definitely
Hmm.
respect that. All right, moving on to another team that we're questioning, who was just in the finals against these Warriors a couple years ago. The Toronto Raptors starting off 1-4. Did not expect this. Especially, you get your coach, Nick Nurse, good coach. You get Fred Van Fleet's back.
Fleet, yes.
You sign him back. So I thought they were ready to go and be ready, a solid East team. But we're talking about 1-4. I mean, what's going on with the Toronto Raptors?
Siakam, uh, he has not been that player. He hasn't been the player that he was in the finals, in my opinion. And he had problems in the bubble. Some people were blaming the bubble, but we're seeing him outside the bubble, and he's still not Siakam, not the Siakam that they paid. Uh, you're looking at these games, and Fred, he balling. Siakam, he looking at these last games, he's not producing. He's win afloat. He's not. Something is off with him, in my opinion. And you don't win at finals without his performance, and you're not winning these games because he's not showing up.
hmm and you know, yeah, Pascal Siakam is disappointing me, man, because you know, when he when he when he started with the last year when we started, starting NBA season, he came out like game. I'm like, oh, okay, he ready to take over this team, ready to be that scoring option. Then it's like the bubble, then the pandemic hit, and then we haven't seen that Siakam since. Like right now, last night he had 10 points, 4 rebounds, and you getting paid close to max dollars. That's not
Mm.
it for me. That's not it for me. I'm hope I don't know. Like I don't know if the pandemic really because a lot. I don't know if Cats got to work on their game. Maybe he did. I don't know. But whatever it was when he came after the pandemic into that bubble, bad. I'm talking about
Yeah.
he played bad. Um, this is a good thing. Lost Ibaka and Gasol. I understand they are stars, but they were great for that system. Siakam was fired because he wasn't the focus on other teams during the finals. Yeah, but earlier last year, Sam, he was averaging 24, 25 points a game. Um, you know, early in the season and then before the pandemic. You talk about all star. It's an all star.
Mm.
And all of a sudden now you looking like a bum. That's concerning to me, especially they paid him off all that money. I hope he ain't just done got that cheese
Please. And
and
started
that
cruising.
happens too. You get that max dollars to close the max. You good. You set for life if you manage it right. So maybe that's what's going on with Siakam. I didn't see him as that type of player, especially getting it out the mud. But I don't know what's up with the Raptors. They have good coaching. I still think they have the roster to be a solid team in the East, maybe. But I say this is a factor too. They don't get to play
They
at home. Toronto banned, they don't allow you to play games up there. So I think they're playing a game somewhere in like Tampa or something. That affects you. That affects you. You don't. They're the only team in the NBA that's probably not at home seeing their kid. Like you know what I mean? And that's a factor to me too. And you're right. It's still early. Nobody's taking stock in Cleveland. We know they'll be 4-16 in a couple weeks here at the end of the end of the month, they probably won't win another game. So but no, I do like JB Bickerstaff. I do like Colin Sexton. I hope they do get better. But it is what it is. They're gonna start losing here soon. Even though they did have an impressive victory last night against the Hawks, I might add. But yeah, the Raptors, I'm not sure what's going on with them, but people say it's early. Remember, there's 10 less games this year. There's 10 less games. I know that don't sound like a lot, but it's still a
It
factor when
makes
you
it
consider
is a
the
big
playoff.
factor.
People make last second push, and you ain't got those extra 10 games. That's definitely a factor moving forward. All right. Before we wrap it up, we got one more topic. Obviously, Ohio State dominated their performance against Clemson. A lot of people just thought Clemson was gonna come up out there and just dog walk Ohio State. I didn't. At first I did, and then I started to look at things. I'm like, I really started to study the matchup, and I'm like, Ohio State got a great chance. They had a great chance. And you know what? A lot of people were shocked when I said, heck, on my ticket, I put a +7. I've had Ohio State could keep it close and possibly win the game, which they did. Um,
And then some.
they dominated that game. They dominated. I can't lie. They dominated that game from start. I mean, not saying start to finish, but they came out and they was ready to go. Um, and for once in my life, I'm gonna say it, y'all. For once in my life,
Mm.
I was rooting for Ohio State because I can't stand Dabo Sweeney. He sit up there and look at that camera. I can't stand dude. Dabo has just lost a lot of respect for me. The way he handled the whole Black Lives Matter thing, the way he handled just the whole movement in general, pushed it off, brushed it to the side. Uh, I just mm-mm, not feeling it. But anyway, now interesting conversation we were talking about earlier on before we aired. You have the number one pick in the draft. Quarterbacks looking good. Anything from Saturday, or excuse me, from Friday, or have you? Did it change your opinion at all? Who would you rather build your franchise around? Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields?
Well, Coach, um, looking at the game on Friday, Fields looked great. He balled. He balled out. But if I'm picking, I'm still gonna have to go with Lawrence. Um, and while I said he had a phenomenal game, I just feel that I could not base my pick off of a game. Not saying that he ain't balled out before. I just feel like I haven't seen him play enough for me to Lawrence. I mean, and then you look at Lawrence. He's a bigger player. On top of that, I think he's got a few inches over Fields.
Mm,
And when you're talking about NFL, size does truly matter. On top of that, with Lawrence, he's a more so far to me an overall player. Um, he can throw, he can move, he can run. He on top of more importantly, he can break tackles. And I feel that will be huge when you're stepping into a bigger. You step into the NFL at that point. I got to go with what I've seen more of versus
mm,
you dominate a game. And then
mm,
Fields is also was coming off of an injury, not coming off of an injury, but hasn't been the same him since that injury,
mm, All right. Well,
excluding
yeah,
excluding
excluding
Friday.
the playoffs. Now, gotcha. Okay, that's definitely fair. It's close. It really is. The only thing that really draws me back is this. Great comment. Ohio State quarterbacks just do not do well in the NFL, and I think it's because of the system that they
The
run.
majority, yeah, I didn't
Uh,
want to say that, but that is also a factor.
and but my thing is this: everyone's saying, you had the whole tank for Trevor thing. You had, Trevor Lawrence is surefire number one quarterback. I don't see it. I told you I don't see transcendent. I don't see everybody talking about the best prospect since Luck. Hell no, I don't see that.
I
I
don't
don't
see
see
that.
that at all. Um, to me, in the biggest to me, outside, I think we're still holding on to that national championship game against Alabama, where Lawrence lit it up as a freshman, and since then, Lawrence can do no wrong. Everybody just loves Trevor Lawrence from there on. He can do no wrong. It don't matter what he do. He's great. And I just call BS on that. You know, I've seen a better quarterback come out of Clemson. Better yet, the best quarterback since Luck. Deshaun Watson was better than that man. We seen Deshaun Watson win national championships. We seen Deshaun Watson carry that team on his back. We seen what Deshaun Watson can do. You know what I mean? And you know, and for me, honestly, in that draft class, Deshaun Watson should have been drafted first. The Bears messed up, drafted Mitchell Trubisky, and that's why they got what they got. But he should have been number one pick in that draft. And I'll go even further. I'll go even further. And I know I may lose some fans on this, and that's just what it's gonna be. But this is time out with Coach Cam, and we don't hide nothing. Now, in big games recently, I've seen. I'm talking about big. I'm talking about as far as LSU and the recent game against Ohio State, and even last year's game against Ohio State. I've seen Trevor Lawrence make more plays with his legs than his arm. The game turned last year when he ran that long run for a touchdown. Now, this lets me go to say something else. What if Trevor Lawrence was black? Will we be saying that he's the most transcendent quarterback since Luck or since, Elway and since all this? No, we wouldn't. We seen Deshaun Watson do this. Yet we had questions. Could he run an NFL offense? Could he do this? Could he do that? Nah, man. Let's cut it out. Trevor Lawrence, honestly, uses his legs a lot more than people think. And it's never come up as a question of, well, what if he gets hurt because he's running around? What if he's not on script? What if this? What if that? There's never a question with Trevor Lawrence about that. And what concerns me is that he's almost too tall. At 6'6", we look at I know listen, hear me out. Once you get past that 6'4", 6'5" threshold, it becomes a question mark. You gotta look at a quarterback like Brock. I'm not comparing to Trevor Lawrence. But you got to look at a quarterback like Brock Osweiler. He was 6'8". You know that don't mean you're gonna be a good quarterback. And it's more room for you to get broke up. And for me, it's just that I think Trevor's put on this pedestal from high school. He's been the number one player. College, he came out, um, you know, and they come out and he's winning as a freshman. So now he could do no wrong. But however, I feel like, you know, Trevor Lawrence is not the best quarterback we've seen since Luck. He's not a transcendent talent. I mean, out of this class, I may pick him first because I am nervous about Fields lasting in the NFL
Mhm.
just because he's shown that he could be injury prone and get broke up. Um, and even though he hasn't missed games, but you got little knick-knack injuries here and there. NFL, those become issues. Them become out for
Mhm.
2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Mhm. Mhm.
But my biggest, but I guess I would go Trevor. But I'm not high. It wouldn't be surprised on me if he never turns out to be like that Luck that everybody think he's gonna be. I think he could be good, but great. I don't see it. For me, I just don't see great out of Trevor Lawrence.
Let me say is that I will never say that I see the luck. Uh, everybody knows how. Well, you know personally know how I feel about luck.
Hmm.
That's not what I see in Trevor. But when you the question is Trevor versus Fields,
Hmm.
and as you mentioned, Fields he's got injuries. He's injury prone. Let's put it that way. He hasn't missed a game, no. But you go into the NFL, them hits harder.
He can't
The,
take them hits.
them hits are a lot harder. And when you're talking about drafting for a longevity standpoint, you got to go with Trevor. Uh, yeah, he was. I think what your issue is that he can do no wrong, and the hype around him is what your issue is with
Yeah,
him.
I
And
think so. I think so.
and I feel you. I absolutely feel you, especially when when you said he runs a little bit more. He's won something again with his feet. I 100 wholeheartedly agree, and I do. It does bother me that question does not come up.
It never comes. It
It
never comes.
never comes up, and you're absolutely right. I do think it does. If he were black, I think the question would come up.
Mm-hmm. And the thing.
And it's
Go ahead.
and it is, and it's, unfortunately, you don't want to go there, but
That's why I had to say it.
it is
I
what
had
it
to
is.
say it because I go to an instance like last year. Look at Jalen Hurts went to Oklahoma, balled out. In a scout combine, they're asking him, "Do you want to play receiver? Do you want to change the running back?" He's like, "Hell no!" Like, why? Now he got drafted in the second round, and now he playing for Philadelphia doing his thing. Like, you see what I'm? That's the type of
Yeah.
stuff I'm saying. Like, because Jalen Hurts had a great year throwing the ball and running the ball, so he could throw too. So why are you asking him to switch positions? Like,
Yeah,
come on.
I get it.
And like I said, that never ever comes out with one of the one of these quarterbacks. Like I even go even further. I'll go back. Jake Locker. He was an athlete. That's it. Like he had a strong arm, had a cannon, but he was just an athlete. He was never once asked to change positions. He could have been a slot receiver or a running back, but
Hmm.
they didn't. So that's where I'm at with that. But I think we both agree we'll take a chance on taking Lawrence and building building our team around him. It's just perhaps that I just feel that he's not the transcendent talent that what we think he is, and I think
Hmm.
he's just gonna struggle just a little bit. But he'll be a good quarterback, just not what we thought what we were getting from Trevor Lawrence when we first seen him as a freshman in Alabama.
Oh, yeah, I can agree to that.
That's all. All right, that's it. Another great show of Timeout with Coach Cam. Make sure you go on live and on excuse me on our YouTube live. Subscribe to the channel, y'all. All it takes is a click. Subscribe to the channel. Also, remember I got Time Out with Coach Cam wristbands 3 for $10. Also, if you need hoodies, I have those for $30. T-shirts for $20. And the long sleeve T-shirts for $25. So I ain't had no prices. I ain't saying inbox me for the price. I'm letting y'all know what it is now. But I enjoy everybody that watched this morning. Have a great day. Have a great new year. And let's get this new year started off right and positive for everyone. Is there anything you have to say, Tori, before we leave?
No, like, subscribe, and share.
That's
Make sure
it.
you share it anyway. Might be for somebody else.
There it is. There it is. It don't take long for y'all to share. So click the share button, hit that subscribe button. But for everyone here at Time Out with Coach Cam, we appreciate y'all. And we are out.
Timeout, overtime, hot take, debate, penalty, rocking so many yaps. We on the way, unapologetic opinions, guests checking in, so I share on my social. Merch going up, my brother he going global. Ads hold it down for the ladies, they need their own show.